What's going on? Today I want to talk to you guys about gear I didn't know I needed. This could be gear that I didn't know existed. It could be gear that I knew existed, but I didn't think it was really something I'd want to take on the trail with me. Either way, this is gear that at the beginning was kind of off the radar, but now it's gear that I never hit the trail without. Now, quick disclaimer. All of the things that I mention in this video are not things that I'm saying everybody needs when they're backpacking. These are things that I found out that I need when I go out. You may have a completely different style of backpacking from what I do, and that's okay. Find what works for you and do it. Some of this stuff you may be like, I gotta try it. And some of you may be looking at this going, that dude's an idiot, I'm not trying any of that stuff. Either way, it's fine. But this is not saying that you have to do what I'm doing. First up is the neck gaiter, also known as a buff, or as Hilltop Packs calls them, face blankets. I have become a huge fan of these. If you've watched any of my trip videos, you'll usually see one of these sitting around my neck at all times. I heard people talking about these all the time, and I kind of blew it off and didn't think much about it and didn't understand what the big deal was until I really started using these all the time. And I realized real quick that the multitude of uses that one of these things can have just makes them almost invaluable. I usually wear it around my neck, which serves multiple purposes. Sometimes when you're out backpacking, you're out in the sun where there's no shade or anything, and the back of your neck can get pretty charred up from the sun. And so it's nice to have something you can wear on your neck that protects you from the sunlight, allows your neck to not feel like it's on fire when you get back to camp. Another great thing about wearing one of these is protection against bugs. When you've got this around your neck, a lot of times because you sweat so much back here, especially on hotter days, if you're wearing any kind of a bug spray or any kind of lotion or anything to keep the bugs off, you can sweat that stuff off. And those bugs will start getting you right in the back of the neck. Unless you're wearing one of these, they can't get through this because it's bunched down around your neck. It's great protection against black flies and mosquitoes. In the wintertime, it's great as a balaclava. You can wear it over your head. It's great to keep your face warm when it's cold outside. A lot of times in the wintertime, because I sleep in a hammock and my face is exposed, I'll wear one of these around my face. They're great for pot holders. They're great to use as a towel to clean out your pot. They're great to wipe off sweat. I love it. It goes on most trips with me. You'll usually see some kind of a red buff around my neck. It's usually this one. I never hit the trail without taking a buff with me. Next up on the list is something you've heard me talk about before if you've been on this channel for long, and that's toe socks. I know for a lot of people these are weird. Like just the idea of wearing a sock that goes around your toes like this just seems like it would be uncomfortable. It would feel weird. Having fabric between your toes would be strange, but I'm gonna shoot straight. If I didn't have these, I would be suffering far worse from blisters than I do now. For me, naturally, my pinky toe actually sits underneath my ring toe, which means that they're always rubbing against each other. So when I'm hiking long miles and those toes are rubbing against each other, I am guaranteed to have a nasty blister on my pinky toe. When I first tried out toe socks, these are from Njinji specifically, but when I first tried out toe socks, it was amazing the feeling of hiking for 15 or 20 miles in a day and not having any blisters on my toes. It was literally the greatest feeling in the world, and it made me so thankful for these. So for me, whereas I thought these were weird when I first got started backpacking, I'll never go backpacking without these. When I got started backpacking, I bought a 750 milliliter titanium pot from Tokes, and that served as my cook pot. It also served as my coffee mug. I put a set of hot lips on it so I could drink straight out of it. And at first this seemed like a great idea, but I realized if I'm drinking out of it, I can't eat out of it, and I can't boil water for other food while I'm using it as a cup. And so I found it to be kind of one of these things where it made my mornings more difficult than they needed to be. So I got my hands on one of these Sea to Summit cups. It's the collapsible cups. They just break down very easily, easy to use, easy to pull back up. I've basically used this coffee mug for about a year and a half, and it's worked great, but I've noticed that my coffee gets really cold really quick in it, and I decided instead of using this as my mug, that this year I'm switching over to a GSI insulated coffee mug. And I love this because it keeps my coffee warm. As soon as I boil the water, I can fill this thing up, make me a big cup of coffee, and then start working on my other breakfast food. And so for me, being out in the backcountry is not just about hiking miles. It's not just about being at camp. It's about doing things that make you enjoy the backcountry. And if there's one thing that I enjoy thoroughly in the backcountry, it's drinking a good cup of coffee in the morning. And so if I'm going to enjoy a good cup of coffee, I want to enjoy it first thing. I don't want to have to wait on it for after I cook my food. So for me, having a coffee mug has become an absolute necessity for me when I go out in the backcountry. And it's one of those items I never thought I would need, but you'll never see me out without one of these. These are not Tums. These are not any kind of pill whatsoever. This is something called Wissy Wipes. They're little pellets that you literally just put some water on them and they become wet wipes. Now, a few years ago when I first got into backpacking, I was using wet wipes like everybody else. I would bring them into the backcountry and I would use those to clean when I had to go to the bathroom. They became very useful and I loved having them with me on every trip. But something happened one weekend that I wasn't expecting and it was kind of annoying. While I was out backpacking, I got in one night and I had gotten mud all over one of my legs. And so I wanted to take one of my wet wipes and clean it off. And when I opened up my wet wipes, they were bone dry. Apparently I had accidentally not closed them all the way. A little bit had stuck up, and because my garage is really hot in the summer, they dried out completely. And so I had dry wipes instead of wet wipes. Now I was able to reconstitute them, I guess, with some water, but they didn't work the same. And not only that, but wet wipes a lot of times can tear apart and they can be an issue from time to time. What I like about these Wissy wipes, one, they're super lightweight. You can take 6 or 7 of these with you on a trip and it only weighs maybe about an ounce, maybe 2 ounces tops. And when you make these into towels, they are so much more sturdy than your typical wet wipes. It's amazing how something so little can turn it into a towel that is sturdy, that's great for cleaning up messes, that's great for using when you have to go do the deed in the woods. I was shocked at how great these were. I actually bought an entire bag. This was full at one point, but that was over a year ago. You don't have to take a bunch of them with you to use them. And like I said, they're super light and they expand so easily. It doesn't take a ton of water to get these to do what you need them to do. They save space, they save weight, and quite honestly, they're better wet wipes than wet wipes. These don't tear, they don't break apart, they just do a fantastic job. I didn't even know these existed when I started backpacking, but now they go with me on every single trip. When I first got into backpacking, I was doing through hiking, and because I was doing through hiking, I'd get done at the end of the day. We'd do long miles, and the first thing I wanted to do was set up camp, then I wanted to eat my food, and then I just wanted to go to bed. I was tired, and when you hike long miles, your body's not really thinking, I want to go out and get some firewood and bring it back and start a fire. I rarely ever had a campfire unless somebody else made it. Fast forward to 2019 and I start doing more weekend backpacking trips. And as I'm doing those, I realize that the campfire is one of my favorite parts of backpacking. It's one of my favorite parts of camp, is just sitting around the campfire, talking with the guys, having something to eat and relaxing. Well, in order to have a campfire, you gotta have firewood, and somebody's gotta process that firewood. So for me now, I always take one of these with me on the trail. This is the Pocket Boy by SILKY saw. It's just a real small, easy to carry saw that you can use to process wood. This thing is like a warm knife through butter when it comes to firewood. That's sap probably on it. I've used this so many times now. I've only not taken it on a trip, I think twice in the last year, and both times I was really disappointed that I didn't have it with me because it's so useful and it makes processing wood so much easier. There's other ways you can process wood. I know one of the ways is to find a couple trees that are closer together and take a large log and break it between the two trees. I've done that. It works, But how much easier is it just to bring the wood all back and just start sawing it up and having it ready and right there so it's the right size to fit in your fire pit. The campfire is important, processing firewood is important, and even though I would never take this thing on a through hike, I always take this on my weekend trips. And the last thing that I always take with me on the trail, regardless of where I am, what backpack I'm wearing, or what I'm doing, is a water bottle pouch pocket thingamajigger. So the last item that I always take with me when I go out into the backcountry that I really didn't even know existed when I first got into backpacking was one of these water bottle pockets right here. These are fantastic. This one is made by TRAMPER. I've got another one made by Justin's UL that I used for 3 years. And it did a fantastic job. These are awesome. The reason I love them so much, if I'm just being honest with you, is because I have T-Rex arms. T-Rex arms simply means I have really short arms. My arms are 4 to 5 inches shorter than they should be. So for me to reach around behind and try and grab a water bottle that I can drink out of is nearly impossible. So I need to have my water in a place where I can get to it easily, and having a water bottle right here on my shoulder pouch makes my life 1,000 times easier. I'm a huge fan of these water bottle pouches. I'll be honest, I've seen the clips, the water bottle clips. Not a fan. I see the way that thing just kind of shakes around. The pouches hold your water bottle solid. It doesn't move. It makes it very easy to access. If you've ever seen Miyagi on the trail, he's actually created a straw that fits right into his water bottle right there that he uses when he goes out. I'm kind of jealous, actually. I need to figure out how to make one of those. Needless to say, because of my short arms, having a water bottle that's easy for me to get access to is vitally important. And I didn't even know that was a thing until I started backpacking and I found out about these water bottle pouches. So for me, you're never going out on the trail without it. So those are the things that I didn't even know that I needed that I always take with me when I go backpacking. What are some things that you use that maybe aren't vitally important that you have to have with you when you go backpacking? I would love to see those in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it the thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it the thumbs down. Then after you do that, hit that thumb down again. Make sure you check me out over on the Instagram so you can find out all about trips that I'm on and check out information about the Backpacking Podcast. We have had some incredible guests like Andrew Skirka, Heather Anish Anderson, and Sean Shug Emery. It's been an incredible year for the podcast, and I'm always putting updates in Instagram about that. So until next time, stay strong, hike long, and I'll catch you on the next go-around.